Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. What should WWE do after Roman Reigns? I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen. Welcome to the weekend edition of WrestleRamble, where, we're still kind of beaten up about the Roman Reigns announcement on Monday.
Yeah, it's still kind of like kicking around in our thoughts, and like every time we sort of do a video, I kind of sit down and think, God, this is all pointless, isn't it? Oh, this is all just silly and pointless.
No, it's very much got a point. We're all helping each other through it.
Exactly.
I feel like when I finally got to terms with one part, like, okay, he's got leukemia. Who would have thought it? And not just now, but he's had it since he was 22, really. It'd been in remission or however it's meant to be phrased. But then I'm like, oh my God, but there's the other side of it, which is this, it's never really happened in WWE, where they've built a guy for 5 years. Like, the whole company's been built around this guy. And in Vince's singular vision, which he's always had, people look at the Attitude Era and go, well, he built it around loads of different stars. Rock, Austin, Taker, Triple H. That I don't think that was him. I just think there were so many strong personalities, and that's the way the business was, that happened. If it was up to him, I'm sure it would have been Hulk Hogan, then Ultimate Warrior, then The Rock.
Well,
doubt he would have even gone for Stone Cold.
Well, it would be like Brett, Shawn, and during the Attitude Era, it really was like, Austin is our guy. Like, we're building the whole company around Austin. And then it was like, actually, he's got some neck issues, might have to take some time off. Probably better build some other people as well. And that's when you got the Triple H push. That's when you got the Rock push. That's where you got, the Rock push came around sort of that period as well. So then when Austin did have to go out with his neck surgery, they had that year gap where they were like, cool, well, it's Triple H and the Rock then. They're going to lead this company until Austin gets back. And then as soon as Austin came back, let's put the belt right back on him, and we'll go ahead with it.
And that year out was one of the best years creatively for WWE. Was a great year. Think. It's the rise of Kurt Angle as well, and like Chris Jericho and all those other things happening.
Yeah.
But then after all that happened, Vince seemed to go back into cruise control. I've got John Cena, and I'm gonna stay with John Cena, just like Hogan, for years. And that's the way it was. But I don't think that model really works in this day and age, because people get bored with stuff a lot quicker and want to turn on traditional baby faces like that more. And that's certainly what happened. And then we got Roman Reigns, and the same thing was happening with Roman. He was groomed, he was positioned, he was going to be the top guy. No other guys, really. Everyone else would just bump off him. As
you once eloquently said, he became a black hole on Raw that things just fell into. And that's not a dig at Joe, the person, it's Roman Reigns, the character. He really was. Like, things were just built around him in order to either put him over or to make him seem better. And there were lots of people that suffered off the back of that. People were screaming, God, you could really do something with Dean Ambrose. There was a point where people were like, he could be the next top guy in this company.
Oh, yeah.
But they were like, no, it's Roman. We're going with Roman. And you were like, well, okay, well, it's Seth then. We really think that Seth should be the guy. And they were like, no, it's definitely Roman. We've made up our mind. Oh, well, Daniel Bryan's back. Nah, well, Roman's still here. So it's definitely Roman. And it was AJ Styles. Nope. Roman's our guy.
Yeah, so everyone has played second. Like, there's Roman. Roman has been presented in that John Cena, Undertaker, Brock Lesnar echelon right at the top there, and everyone else has been down at the bottom, not at the bottom, but a couple of layers below, and those are your full-time guys. And then they come in and out of feuds with Roman, and then sometimes they're in a tag team, and sometimes they're fighting for the Intercontinental title. But Roman's Universal title is always, he's up there in the mix. So now that Roman's not around for however long this takes, but could be years.
Could be years. Could be forever.
Yeah, it could be more indefinite than that. And they're in a position where they have not made anyone. They have no one. And I know there'll be a lot of people sitting at home going, but what about AJ Styles? What about Braun Strowman? And all of those guys you're going to say, because I've looked extensively through Raw and SmackDown's rosters, that no one is on that level. No one has been built to be the guy. And no one, I don't think, even Daniel Bryan, who I would love the company to be built around, fact of the matter is, he's been botched. He's been botched so much. I don't know if they can bring that momentum back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. We said on the Raw review, like they put all of these eggs into this Roman-shaped basket, and now unfortunately that basket has fallen apart.
Well, the basket dropped, and then all the eggs went kablooey.
So now you're looking at this being like, well, great, now what do we do?
Make an omelette, a floor omelette.
And you'd say that they haven't really created these top guys, and I completely agree with you, because when I looked at Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar, instantly I was like, oh, I'm so much less interested in that match. In terms of because Roman really felt like he was a star going because that's the way the company presents it. He's the star going into this match. So Brock versus Braun feels so much less interesting. And Braun as Universal Champion, he doesn't feel like he's at that level where he could be Universal Champion.
He could have been.
He could have been.
He could have been a couple of months ago.
Absolutely, he could have been. Absolutely.
But they turned him heel again to reverse engineer other characters for the Roman Reigns project.
And Braun is now so less over than he was just a few months ago.
Plus, I think part of the Brock-Roman stuff at Crown Jewel, which is, it's going ahead.
It's happening.
We just found that out. You're watching it Saturday, but we're recording this Thursday afternoon. Afternoon for us UK time. And we've seen Braun and Brock at No Mercy last year.
It was no good.
It was very disappointing.
Yeah.
Because that was a scenario where everyone was behind Braun.
Yeah.
And I think we were even saying, cool and audible, put the strap on Braun.
You've got this plan in place for Roman to win the belt at WrestleMania, but actually, you've got someone who's really hot at the moment. You should really, pushing him to the moon. But they went with, they stuck to the gun, stuck to the plan. And now, as I say, Braun is so much less over than he was just a few months ago. And he doesn't feel like the guy. He doesn't feel like someone you can build Raw around, let alone the company.
And there's other problems, like how much of a dominant force he is. Like, how do you book around that? So what's your answer? What should WWE do post Roman?
Well, I mean, I said on the Raw review, I probably wouldn't have gone with the Braun babyface turn. I'd have stuck with the story you told last week, which was Drew. Like Dave Meltzer said this on Wrestling Observer Radio, and I didn't really think about this at the time, but when Meltzer was talking about it, I was like, actually, that is an interesting way of seeing it. You could have reverse engineered and sort of revisionist history and say that what Drew did last week when he attacked Braun was his babyface turn. And that was him splitting away from the heel Dolph. It was him splitting away from the heel Braun. And then you push him as a super babyface. And that's your new guy. That's your new golden goose to build something around. And Drew is the kind of guy he's got the height that they like. He's got the physique they like. He's got the look that they like. He can cut a promo. He can wrestle really good. He is a guy that you could theoretically build Raw around.
And I love Drew. I think he's fantastic, and all of those things are massive ticks. But there's someone who's really, really excellent, and then there's superstar, as DDP Yoga would say.
Yeah,
superstar.
Yes,
and I don't think Drew is. You need something. I never thought Roman was the superstar. John Cena is. As much as we hated him for a long, long time. He very much is. Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H, they're all
larger than life
superstars. But I can't see anyone. I'm going through the roster. Bray Wyatt hasn't done anything since when? So you had that rubbish tag title run with Matt Hardy in a joke.
There's a so we got a video going up tomorrow, which is bizarre championship reigns. And through watching that video that Fakador did, I've remembered that Bray Wyatt was WWE champion once. I genuinely forgot that he was a WWE champion for all of 3 weeks. But I completely forgot. And then I sat down these a rush of memories when we were a few years ago, when a lot of wrestling fans were going God, they could do something massive with Bray Wyatt. He could be he could be this generation's Undertaker. Really push him, make him the new phenom of WWE. But he was fed to John Cena, and then has just slowly and gradually just dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. And even when he won the WWE Championship, we were all sort of went, it's not lasting though, is it? Because he's just going to lose it to Randy Orton. He's literally there to give the belt to Randy. There was nothing more that could be said about Bray Wyatt at that point. It was God, you're a transitional champion. He had it written all over him.
Which is weird because he won it off another transitional champion, John Cena.
Yeah.
That was at the end of a fantastic storyline, though, the Viper in the Family thing on SmackDown in that of golden era of SmackDown after the brand split.
The end was really the maggots.
Yes, yeah. Oh.
And House of Horrors.
But yeah, like Bray Wyatt back in the day, I always thought he could be Roman Reigns' Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have that dynamic where they just eternally feud, especially like in the golden days of the Shield Wyatt family feud. Yeah. And then there's that awesome spot where Bray Wyatt was making the pin and he just points and Roman leaps over him and spears him. So you got these two foes who would occasionally unite and be amazing, but they hate each other so much. So yeah, but Bray's gone. Bobby Lashley's too old.
Bray could be brought back though. Like he's getting a character refresh, but it depends on how strong that character refresh is and how people react to said character refresh.
If they can pull it off, I will be so happy. I just don't see how.
Mm-hmm.
But like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, these guys, they feel new and young because they've only just come into WWE. But the reality is they're in their late 30s, early 40s. AJ Styles said he's probably only going to wrestle for another year or two anyway. So these guys are on the out too. These aren't people you can build not just now around, but the next 5 years around.
The next 10 years.
It's an aging main roster. And then... So you kind of, like Finn Balor, he's another guy who could have been that guy, could be in the
superstar role,
mix.
Absolutely, yeah. But they decided he wasn't, and look where he is now.
Sami Zayn could have been like one of the biggest baby faces.
He was the most over baby face in NXT. Like he was probably one of the most over baby faces in WWE as a whole. People were so enamored with Sami Zayn, and you haven't seen that really. And then recently with Johnny Gargano, everyone was just so into
pure baby
face. But it's brought to the main roster, and they were like, "No, don't like him," and just done nothing with him. And I'd imagine the same will happen to Gargano when he eventually makes his jump to the main roster. They just won't see the superstar potential in him,
unless, and this is one of WWE's biggest positives, they are very good with booking with their back against the wall.
This is what we said on Raw.
Yeah.
A terrific episode because all of a sudden they were like, right, well, we're back into the corner, we need to do something.
One of the company's biggest ever booms was because they were being attacked by WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Although this isn't the same...
It took them several years.
Several years, yeah. Although this isn't the same kind of threat, it is one where they have found themselves in a situation where all of their plans have been scuppered. Seth Rollins, if you asked me earlier this year, I would have gone push him to the moon. But again, it's like he's been
flattened out.
He's been flattened out because of the Roman Reigns Shield reunion.
Yeah,
and Dean Ambrose. It's all playing second fiddle to Reigns.
So I think really the answer in this, and you sort of said it yourself when. We are part of an era at the moment with short-term memories. And we just want things to change, things to do quicker, essentially, in terrible English terms. So perhaps the answer to this is an NXT call-up. You do a shock NXT call-up and you're like, this is our new guy. You push them straight into a main events role. You have them win the title very quickly. You present them as a superstar because you haven't got the baggage of being flattened out on Raw, the baggage of being in this Roman black hole. And you're like, this is a fresh start. This is a brand new person, and we're going to use this as our new top dude.
And people will be like, well, that's too soon. Like, you can't just debut someone and let them win the championship. Finn Balor was doing okay.
Yeah.
Before he got his torn labrum.
Kurt Angle did very well in his that. Kurt Angle, his rookie year was specifically designed that by the end of it they were like, he's now one of our top dudes. Like the whole thing was brilliantly orchestrated that within a year of him being in that company, he's a superstar in this company. He's a top dude. And Brock Lesnar came in, won the belt very, very quickly. Randy Orton, these guys that come in, you'd be like, as long as you orchestrate this well, you can present them as superstars right off the bat.
And I know WWE like to, so speaking of NXT call-ups, I know WWE like to put indie guys through the production ringer in NXT, even though they can work phenomenally.
Got to know where that hard camera is, brother.
Oh yeah, can't they just learn that for a few weeks on the on traveling and let their raw talent get them over, and people will overlook those bits of finesse. And sometimes, I don't want my performers to know where everything is and do everything professionally. I want it to be real. because, isn't that a novelty in a fake sport? So, I've got to say, Keith Lee and Matt Riddle, you just call those two guys up and let them have some wars.
Yep.
I mean, there is an opportunity here, a silver lining to a very awful real-life situation, to completely revamp WWE and say, like, now we're going, not for the Attitude Era, but here's the new era. Like, we're out of the Roman era now, which is what the last 5 years have been.
Yeah.
Before that, it was the reality era, wasn't
Cena
it?
era.
And then the Cena era. There was the reality with the Punk bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then, it was the Cena years before them. And then Triple H.
With the Ruthless Aggression era. Ruthless Aggression era is really the prequel trilogy of the wrestling world. It is an era that if you were part of the Attitude, like if you grew up during the Attitude Era, like the original trilogy, you were like, yeah, Ruthless Aggression just wasn't as good. It just wasn't as good as the Attitude Era. But if you grew up during the Ruthless Aggression era, like the prequels, you're like, they're the best. Because that's what I've got nostalgic memories for.
You don't get many people going, those Randy Orton, John Cena matches in the late 2000s.
You do if you grew up during the Ruthless Aggression era.
I don't think any self-respecting fans think that. So, what about you? Who would you call up?
Well, I mean, I'm with you. It's certainly Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, but the other name that I've been very much behind almost since day dot, and I've said that this is a guy you can build a company around. It's Aleister Black. I think Aleister Black is someone you can debut on the main roster instantly because of the way he looks and the way that he wrestles. He is your new CM Punk. He is someone that fans, particularly vocal male fans, will see and be like, he is so cool. He's so awesome. He wrestles like an absolute star. He presents himself so awesomely. I've got to get behind this guy. Because that's what Punk did. Punk came in, and he was like a breath of fresh air in WWE when he was part of ECW and no one was really watching that show. Then he came up to Raw, and he was doing the stuff on SmackDown and everything. But after a while, people were like, he is really cool because he looks different from everyone else. He's got something different about him. And people started to really get behind that. And I think you can have that with Aleister Black. He does not look like anyone else on that roster. In NXT and the main roster, he has got a completely unique look. He's got a unique wrestling style, a unique entrance. He cuts promos unlike anyone else. He is someone who you really could turn into a superstar.
Yeah, I think you said it very well. When it's a breath of fresh air. Like now, that I don't think it's time to repackage a Bray Wyatt or give another push to Seth Rollins. It's like now's the time for a complete revamp. NXT Invasion at Survivor Series. I don't know. It's like I just want to see something different now.
I think that's what we need.
If you want a shout out on this very show, head over to Patreon right now and pledge $25 a month or more, or you'll get loads of other bonuses like exclusive podcasts, 2 a month. The WrestleRamble Extra one where we review old pay-per-views of your submissions, and Ramble Club.
Where we do our top 5 matches of the month outside of the WWE landscape.
It's including WWE now.
Yes, that's right.
They just never make it.
They never make it, no. So that includes things like, if you want to hear Ollie's thoughts on NXT matches, if you want to hear Ollie's thoughts on 205 Live matches, his thoughts on New Japan, OTT we're going to be doing this month. We've got loads of really great stuff over on Patreon, so come on over and get involved. It's a fun old time.
And we will be doing a Fantasy Booking Warfare in the next 2 weeks. It's just there's been so many prediction shows.
Yeah.
We've had to push it back.
Because Evolution's this weekend, and it's Crown Jewel the following weekend, so there's all like predictions and reviews and stuff around that. And it's just, to do Fantasy Booking Warfare would end up, we wouldn't be able to put our full attention to it.
But thank you. Have a cup of tea, Lee.
Yes, mate. The real true heel, Len Bren.
Whoa, cheers, Lenny. The real deal sex appeal, Andy Puckett.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's got a sexy man.
Possible rhyming surname. Caught in a Travis web. Yes.
I'm
caught in the web.
We're going on a Brian Huntley.
Good punnage. Like it.
It's an okay punnage, one that Luke came up with.
I think it's all right. Charlie, drink it in, Zyman.
That's much better. I like that one.
Thank you, man.
Daring Danny Richardson.
Oh, he's daring.
Oh,
like
what's
Dan.
What's he going to do next?
What you talking about, Jerry Willis? Yes.
It's a Different Strokes reference.
I'm with the times.
King George Phillips.
Royal. And finally, joking Joshua Selig. Yes,
Whoa,
lovely stuff.
Thanks, guys.
We'll have more of those $25 and above shout-outs next week. If you're wondering to yourself, what the heck is a crap gimmick? Crap gimmicks is a section we do here every single Saturday on the WrestleRamble, where you, the Swaff Nation, submit to us your suggestions for crap gimmick wrestling, and then we, the bookers of said crap gimmick wrestling, decide whether or not we want to assign them to crap gimmick wrestling. If you want to submit your submission, it is luke@wrestletalk.com. One more time, luke@wrestletalk.com. We do have a massive backlog, around about the 250 mark at the moment. Currently, we're in July 17th to be precise, and this one comes in from Random Reject. Good evening, gentlemen. Mira is a women's wrestler. She always makes her entrance last. When she does make her way to the ring, she is copying the outfit and entrance of her opponent for that night. When she's hit with a move, she then hits the same move back on her opponent before selling. Now, I'm going to stop you there, because I can already tell by your reaction, we get these sorts of submissions a lot.
It's not really a gimmick, it's just they copy the other person.
But this one's called Mira.
So? I don't like these ones. I don't like ones where there's a psychic element and they know all the moves before it's about to happen. Mm-hmm. And I don't like ones where the characters know it's all a work. Well, so they don't sell stuff.
Let's see if Matt Oakley from July 19th can fare better. Hi, Luke and Ollie. Thank you so much for reading my email out. If you remember, I'm the blind person who not exactly met a wrestler, but also got almost run down Teddy Long. Hearing my email read out made my day recently. So you might remember that.
I do remember that.
WrestleRamble podcast version.
He got booked in a one-on-one match with The Undertaker later that night.
Introducing Tank Engine, a gimmick based around trains. Like Emelina, there are hype packages for the first few weeks, just saying, coming to a platform near you, followed by various train noises. However, unlike the Emelina gimmick, this only goes about 4 weeks. Unfortunately, when it's time for the Tank Engine to make his debut, like Eva Marie, it's announced that his debut has been delayed due to a technical problem. The next week he's due to debut, but he's delayed from the previous week's town, eventually turning up an hour after the show has ended. The third week, an announcement is made again that unfortunately Tank can't make it, but since people have bought a ticket to see him, he will be replaced by a temporary wrestler service. Finally, we get to meet Tank Engine, a stocky, sweaty man wearing the stereotypical train overalls and covered in coal dirt. As he approaches the ring, he has an entourage lined up behind him. But as he gets closer to the ring, he stops every few feet, and some of the entourage leave into the crowd, taking a seat, declaring, "This is my station." When he starts his match, he moves very slow and appears sluggish, but eventually he builds momentum by, you guessed it, building up steam, eventually making a comeback by first walking, then running around the ring screaming, "Choo choo." His finisher is a running powerbomb called the Runaway Train, and his moves include a DDT called the Derailer and an armbar called Tickets Please.
I really like it.
Solid.
I would have gone further. I would have had a whole year where he keeps getting delayed and missing the shows.
Yeah.
Like once every month or so, he'll get there just as the show's finishing, and we go, "We're out of time, we're off air."
Yes.
Or he'll just arrive as there's a big beatdown. There'll be a big beatdown angle going, and the commentator, "Oh my God, it's the train, it's the tank engine. He's here, but we're out of time." And keep that going.
I would also have almost like Y2J's countdown timer, just like a board full of arrivals with his name, and it would just come up saying delayed.
Yeah.
Or cancelled.
I think there's a lot of material there for promos. I can't tell you what it would be, but I feel like there is. And when he's cutting promos on opponents, I like that. Well, I like the visual of people get and they can. It's good because it's going to be a crap show. Mm-hmm. It's a crap gimmick roster, and we're going to need plants in the audience to get people excited. Mm-hmm. It'll be like a 2013 episode of Impact.
This one comes in from Meng from July 21st. Presumably not Meng as in Haku.
As in the scariest man that ever lived.
Because if it is, then we're just accepting this one, because I don't want Meng being angry at me. Hello, Ollie and Luke, and /or Laurie. My name is Meng, long-time follower from Thailand. Thanks a lot and keep up all the good work. You guys are the best. This is my first email to you guys. I don't know if my English skill is good enough, so sorry for any mistakes. Listening to you guys helps me improve my English as well. #WrestleTalk get better. Thank you very much for the email, Meng. I'll be honest with you, it's actually very well written.
People, foreigners or non-English speakers who say that in their emails, are usually better than I write.
Oh, absolutely. And they're so good I can't read them properly because I'm very bad at reading things. I know this will sound like an earlier suggestion, so shout out to Chris Michaels, the commentator. The commentator was one we didn't sign. My suggestion is a two-man babyface tag team called 2MB or Two-Man Booth, which consists of PBP and James the Colour Jackson. They are a former wrestling commentators who got tired of getting their table destroyed week after week. The gimmick is when one guy is in the ring, the other will do commentary from the corner. When Jamie wrestles, PPB will call the action, play-by-play. And when PBB gets tagged in, Jamie will do some trash talk comedy spots with interjections like Mamma Mia. Their finish is called End of the Match, a double team clothesline into a spinebuster, just because I kind of like it. And after hitting the move, Pete play-by-play will say, "That's the end of the match." And they have a catchphrase, "We will put you over."
I really like that. I really like the motivation of two commentators who are so annoyed with their table getting destroyed week after week. You can start to build that on our weekly crap gimmick episodes.
Absolutely.
And then they finally like, no, we're going to go for you. And they get signed and they can go through training montages.
Yep.
And then the actual wrestling aspect of it, where one's always commentating on the other in the when they're on the apron.
Yeah.
I think that's very good.
And I totally see them as well. In my head, I'm picturing the two commentators from Dodgeball.
Oh, I can't visually remember that.
And say, what, I'm Googling things live on air.
Mine are kind of like WCW tuxedo.
Yeah.
And if it's Bash at the Beach Hawaiian shirts, that's what... They're like old school, early 90s, 80s commentators in my head.
Those guys.
Yes.
It's particularly...
It's Jason Bateman and that guy who's in everything and looks like everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
His name escapes me now, which is really going to annoy me because he's really funny in Office Space. So I suppose really it comes down to, do you want Tank Engine or Two-Man Booth?
This is tough.
It's tough.
Or
you could have Mirror.
What are you leaning towards? It's not Mirror.
Well, I really like Tank Engine because I think there's so much... I hate to say this, mileage you can get out of like train-based jokes, like a lot of British stand-ups do. But there is also quite a lot to be said about 2MB. Two-Man Booth's very good. It's also two trading cards. Oh no, they'll only get a tag team trading card, I suppose.
I've got to go 2MB.
Yeah?
I think. Unless you want to...
No, I think I'm going to go 2MB. I like 2MB. It's done.
Congratulations, Meng.
If you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you have to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers over on Patreon at any dollar amount, and then you can leave a question in the community area on our Patreon page. We'll find it, put it into the little mailbag here, and read it out and answer it. This one comes in from Phil Stopford. All right, son, hope you're well.
Britain's next top model, Phil Stopford.
Phil Stopford, who's going to be coming to our live show.
Is he? We can finally meet him. That's great.
Because he unfortunately couldn't make it up to Wrestling MediaCon.
That's a plug for the live show, by the way. Buy tickets from the Prince Charles Cinema website.
Was very subtle by me. Yeah. So this was sent before we got to our NXT reviews, but this is in regards to our review of TNA Unbreakable 2005. An
interesting show.
The incredible main event of AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels for the X Division Championship. Anyway, my mailbag question is in two parts and extends from Ollie saying that back in 2005, he'd have given AJ Joe Daniels a 5-star rating back then, but now it's only a 4.5-star match. Question 1, what do you both need from a match to make it 5 stars? And 2, what match or matches did you rate a 5-star match but now think, oh, that was great at the time, but now it's not so good? For me, that would be Hogan Warrior at WrestleMania 6. Love all the work you do, and Laurie too, of course.
So this is interesting. So I didn't, as incredible as AJ, Joe, and Daniels is, and if I saw it at the time, which was 2005, my mind would have been blown.
Yeah.
Like, even if I was keeping up with the indies.
Like, I called it at the time, like, one of the best matches I'd ever seen in my life.
But watching it back now, it's like, it's not as good as 205 Live matches.
No. I think I said on the podcast, I can't quite remember if this is exactly what I said, but it was like, if this was on a WWE pay-per-view now, like a main roster pay-per-view, we probably would be calling it, like, one of the best matches in WWE in 2018. But anywhere else, so many things that would have overshadowed it.
Yeah.
It feels like the sort of style that your opening matches do on most indie shows you go to.
Exactly, yeah. WWE is always about 7 years behind the art form outside of it. So yeah, what if that like it would just be put in. I mean, AJ and Joe are featured performers on WWE now, so that shows how behind the times they are.
Yeah, I know.
13 years ago
After
they
the
were
fact, yeah.
in the main event of Unbreakable. But the interesting comparison, I think, would be something that happened about 8 years previously, which was the first ever Hell in a Cell match. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, which we reviewed last month, Bad Blood, or this month, Bad Blood. And that's a 5-star match to me. Watching it today,
Yeah,
I've never seen that match, and I
still
watched
holds
it
up.
there, and it held up because it's got not just fantastic wrestling, not just like a historical reason because first Hell in a Cell, Kane's debut, but the storytelling in that match is sublime. And I didn't know much about what was going on around in the storyline, but I got it all from the presentation of that match.
Yeah.
AJ Daniels Joe has that, but nowhere near in the same volume. So that would be the full 5-star rating to satisfy just great in-ring work, a fantastic story, and characters that I'm into.
I think because you keep up the douchebag rating scale on the WrestleRamble extra episodes, and I don't think people can go back and correct me, but there haven't been that many 5-star matches from you in terms of the pay-per-views that we've recorded where you've gone, that is definitely a 5-star match. But there have been 2 that I can think of, and both of them are Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, because we also did their match at WrestleMania 25, which you also said was a 5-star match.
That's a 5-star match. We've done Money in the Bank 2011. Punk Cena is 5 stars. And how can you forget Mike Awesome versus
Masato Tanaka.
from ECW One Night Stand, which confounds expectations. There is every reason I have fools that is just a 10-minute punk rock song that I want to watch over and over again because it's freaking incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah, so essentially what Ollie is saying is you need to have character story or Mike Awesome powerbombing Masato Tanaka over the ropes through like a billion tables and being really dangerous.
Yeah.
I think for me, if you want to have a 5-star match in my book, you probably want to have Volta in it. That's almost like instantly it becomes a 5-star match because Volta's the best.
That's what most people have been doing this month, looking at our Ramble Club shortlist.
Yeah, you can tell that I've picked them. So I think, is there any matches that you would have rated 5 stars in the past, but now are not so sure on?
I only started rating stuff 5 stars late last year.
I think I would have said, if you'd asked me in 2001, I would have said that the hardcore triple threat from WrestleMania X7 is a 5-star match because I absolutely loved it to pieces. And I watched it again and again and again and again and again and again and again, and I loved it every single time I watched it. If I watched it now, I'd probably say it's probably 4 3/4. Only because the art form has progressed. And when I look back at it now, that sort of fake staging area where they just throw people through like they're King Kong and Godzilla, it looks a bit hokey.
I would probably say the first TLC match. I thought that was better than the second for a long time until we rewatched both, and I thought actually the second's better.
Yeah.
But
we've done both of them now.
Yeah. SummerSlam 2000 and WrestleMania X7.
That's right. So this one comes in from the weirdest name we have in our patronage. Asuka's future husband and EOF one-man wrecking crew skin trade. Mailbag. Asuka's current status and her future.
We've got to ask him what that means.
Well, here he says, what's everyone's thoughts on the alleged reason that my lovely future wife is being held back on the main roster due to her English skills? Having literally bumped into her on the streets Rumble weekend in Philly and chatted, yes, her English is not perfect, but it's better than portrayed, and she's a smart cookie, so getting better at it would be doable. However, does she want to, and does she care, TBH? Is she happy with a decent paycheck, the lack of responsibility that comes with being the face of the brand, if you're holding the top gold, or simply not seeing the WWE as anything more than something she's just doing right now? And the other, essentially what you're saying, is she doing a Shinsuke Nakamura?
I think that can be said of so many people on that roster. Like, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Yeah. People who just go there, work and you can't blame them. These people have families. These people don't want to get the heckins knocked out of them every night with stiff matches and Ishii. It's fine for Ishii. The man's not got a neck. But other people do have necks and it hurts them. Yeah. So it's not like these people have gone right in that way. They've more than paid their dues or of wrestling this hard style for for years and years. But yeah, it is. On the flip side, it is unfortunate to see these really talented people just settle.
Yeah.
Like, and it does chip away at your respect for them because, Dolph Ziggler should leave, Chad Gable should leave, the Good Brothers should leave.
Mm-hmm.
What Nakamura? He's the United States champion. He should leave. And just. But I don't know. It's a tricky question, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it is really interesting as well. Like, I wonder if she has just sort of settled into this role because, as you say in the email, she can speak very good English. Nakamura can speak incredibly well. Like, he was on Jericho's podcast, and he speaks very good English, and he's very articulate when he does it. But when he's cutting his promos in WWE, he doesn't. And it's almost like he's probably doing it on purpose. Cameron Sykes asks, are the Riot Squad closer to being a group of rioters than the Suicide Squad was to be... Right, hold on, I've got to try and do this question right. Are the Riot Squad closer to being a group of rioters than Suicide Squad was to being a good movie? So what he's saying is...
Yeah. Well, now I'm thinking is... What's worse?
Yeah.
It's a race to the bottom.
Pretty much is what he's asking. Are the Riot Squad better than Suicide Squad? Because you really hated Suicide Squad.
I did, because it was so frustrating, because it could have been good. Yeah, I did hate it. Yeah, so I'd have to go the Riot Squad are better. Because I really like Ruby. I think,
I don't like Sarah Logan.
all three of them have gotten better.
Yeah.
And they really work hard, as goofy as it looks when they all push away from the ring and enter it.
Yeah.
At least they're trying. Like, I'm still not a fan of Sheamus and Cesaro as a tag team. But at least they're trying, and I appreciate that, to be coherent.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this one last question here from Rob Pontin Problems Pontin. How can WWE win back the lifelong wrestling fan? It's no secret that the indie scene is getting hotter by the day, with hardcore fans preferring this to WWE. In my mind, with the reported change to the WWE network, should get some local indie companies onto the network, loan out developmental talent and stars that they have nothing to do with. Sorry, Rob, is a little bit confusing here. I think basically what Rob is asking is, with WWE getting reportedly Progress and ICW and all this sort of stuff up onto the network, will we be able to get some of them on loan to NXT, get some of the other guys in NXT on loan to Progress and these other companies? And I think he's asking, is this a way for them to get back wrestling fans who are lapsed? I would simply answer no. Because it's not that... The reason why lapsed fans are there is because they didn't find a guy that they could latch onto. People really liked The Rock and Austin. Like, those are the two guys that had mainstream appeal, and that's who everyone wanted to watch. As soon as Austin and Rock left, everyone sort of lost interest. There was that WCW hardcore fan base. They all tuned out because their company was gone, and the people who were watching Austin and Rock were just like, well, Austin's either heel or he's taken his ball and gone home. Rock's clearly got his eye on Hollywood and is going over there. So I don't have interest in watching this anymore. And so it wasn't the wrestling that people were into in the Attitude Era. It was the characters. So I don't think like the indie scene getting hotter and hotter by the day is how they're going to win back lapsed fans. It's more for hardcore fans, really. They're stuck with this.
But the stars, the wrestlers are so unique in the indie circuit that the secret to WWE really getting popular again is finding one of those and packaging them correctly.
Yeah, it's finding that one star that you can hitch a company to, is what we were talking about at the start of the show. It's finding that diamond in the rough, I suppose. It's just finding that one guy that you'd be like, that just connects with an audience.
They need to start pushing everyone and see what works. It's like, you've got 3 hours. You've got enough time.
Yes.
But that's all we've got time for today. Segue.
Nice.
Click the videos that have just appeared on our laps. No.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a WrestleCrate. What a false finish.
I'm going to put a break in here.
I went into outro mode, but whoa. Now that is a cool t-shirt.
What have we got
It's
here?
busy and we can never wear it on the green screen.
Yeah. But it is. It looks like Street Sharks.
That is it's Riptide Wrestling. Aren't they I think they're the Brighton-based promotion. Well, that's a cool t-shirt.
Yeah.
Can I have this one as well?
You can have that one.
I feel like I'm taking them all. There is another T-shirt, though.
Well, that means it's obviously mine.
Yes.
Oh, and I know whose it is as well, because I've seen what's written there. Oh, you made an error, mate.
Oh, I chose the wrong T-shirt. It's the villain Marty Skell's T-shirt.
Yep, let's get that up there.
Oh, God damn it.
There he is.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
That's a really cool T-shirt.
But you got a really cool villain T-shirt sent to you by one of our Patreon pledge hammers. Check out the WrestleRamble podcast to hear us open up a lovely package that was sent to us by a pledge hammer.
We've got a cool pin here in the style of a Starbucks logo. Cup of coffee in the big time.
Is that your Macho Man impersonation?
Oh, yeah.
Cup of coffee in the big time.
Yours is better.
Yeah.
All mine are really just Vince McMahon.
Or Braun Strowman.
Yeah. Which is very similar. We've got a poster here. Oh,
yes, Kushida.
Kushida. That can go up in our new studio.
Can. What a handsome times man.
The Darth Vader.
He's
such a nerd.
He's such a nerd. I was in a lift with Kushida over Wrestling Media Con, and my wife could see that I was really marking out, and she almost had to stop me from going like, "Oh, Kushida, I think you're really good."
We've got the Best of Pro Wrestling Chaos on Divid, which has
physical media.
Will Ospreay, Mark Haskins, Jody Fleisch. Yeah, Eddie Dennis on there and Alex Steele.
Volta.
So this is 2018. Is Volta on there? Oh, yes.
Right there.
Versus a guy called Big Grizzly. We will put that in our DVD wall. And here we have... That's Kenny?
It is Kenny.
Cool.
There's several photos here.
Oh, that's cool.
They're all of Kenny and Kota Ibushi, by the looks of it.
Also, this would have been their G1 match. There are 4 very nice postcards of what I'm pretty sure is Kota Ibushi versus Kenny Omega from the G1.
And if you want to hear a review of that, you can get that on Ramble Club, which is our $10, because that was one of our top matches of the month, if I remember correctly.
It was. Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
And we've got 2 finally here. A signed picture of Adam Page.
Yep, with the Hangman Loose himself. And JEFF, ain't he great? Listen up, slapnuts.
Jeff Jarrett.
We probably could have got that in person.
Bud. And then, here's the
sticker?
A sticker of Hangman Page too.
I can go on my laptop.
We're getting a lot of Hangman Page stuff. We're loving it. Cool. Well, if you want to sign up to WrestleCrate, click the link in the video description below and use the discount code WTTV because you'll get 2 free autographs from actual wrestling like one from a wrestling legend, one from a current wrestling superstar, and one from these guys.
Yeah, these 2 dingbats.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
We apologise in advance.
Some people might want it.
Yes, but that's now all we've got time for. Click the videos down below to catch up with the latest Wrestle Talk awesome things and press this button right here, which will subscribe you to the podcast version of this show. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.